All right, let's see. Are we live? Why isn't that screen changing? Are we live? Are we live? Let's see. Yes, we are. Okay, very good. This is the episode 2 recap, unaired stuff, and stats breakdown of season 35 of the American version of The Amazing Race. I, of course, am. Well, what's happening to my hair there? That's not professional. I am Logan, the TARstorian Saunders, here to recap, do stats, and talk about the unaired stuff for this episode. But first, before we begin, we shall mourn the loss of our Boraqua Morenas, Elizabeth and Ileana, who have unfortunately bitten the dust. All right, that was a good moment of silence. That was adequate. And we had two episodes. This was pointed out to me by JK. You remember JK from season 5 of Amazing Race Asia, the big time perverted dude, the radio host who kept hitting on Yvonne and Chloe. We had 2 episodes in Thailand to start out the season, and neither leg was in any beach location. We didn't have Phuket, we didn't have Pattaya, where all of the old elderly perverted white people go. We didn't have Phuket, where the younger white perverted people go. We didn't have any beach locations for the first 2 episodes. So JK was telling me that he was really disappointed that he didn't get to see Ileana frolic in the water in a presumably tiny Puerto Rican style bikini. I don't know what a Puerto Rican style bikini would be, but presumably it would be small. So now he is stuck with the unfortunate fate, because he can't control himself, of obsessively clicking through her Instagram stories every single day with the chance of himself getting lucky. Because as we all know, JK hasn't been getting very lucky lately. He is desperate. Okay. So another unfortunate part, for non-perverted reasons, for why both legs were hovering in and around Bangkok, is that we didn't get to see Utia. I had been wanting a Utia episode for a long time, since a year and a half ago when I first heard of Utia and then proceeded to go there. And they didn't go. It's very accessible by train, guys. You can go there by train, spend a few hours there. It's a large area with really cool Buddhist statues and stuff. And they didn't go. They didn't go again. Instead, we went to a field of lotus flowers. They could have even done stuff on the way to a UTM. They could have done a lotus flower task on the way to a UTM. And then you would have had those crazy lizards walking around and scaring the crap out of teams. That would have been amazing. But no, we did not get a Utia. However, it did go unaired. There was an unaired express pass that teams could have gone for in a Utia, and they would have had to go to the Buddha that inspired the Sagat stage in Street Fighter 2. And one team member would have had to fight Sagat. And then if they wanted a double express pass, M. Bison, the second person would have had to fight M. Bison, because M. Bison's based nearby in Bangkok. So I'm sure he would have had an easy time getting out to a Utia. And if they were able to beat up both martial artists, they would have earned 2 express passes for themselves that would have expired by the end of leg 5, because Morgan and Lena's express pass from leg 1 apparently expires by the end of leg 4. So maybe that isn't a relay express pass twist, or we're going to see even more in the future to fill out the season. Because did you know that there are 90-minute episodes, and everyone has definitely not been debating if that is too long of a length for an episode? Did you know that? Because I sure as hell didn't. And to keep things even, if an all-female team went after this express pass, the first team member would have had to fight against Chun-Li, and the second team member would have had to fight against Cammy. And this was the planned second Street Fighter 2 theme task after the South Korea video gaming roadblock, where they played Street Fighter 4, 5, maybe Super Street Fighter 4 Turbo Hyper Edition. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, and people don't know this, but production recently came out and said that they had a roadblock idea And the roadblock hint was going to be who would struggle to fit all that in them jeans. But production got rid of that as a roadblock because they thought it would be too biased towards Elizabeth and Ileana. So just another stroke of bad luck for them. It also would have been really biased towards Rob. So instead, they just decided, oh, let's have a Lotus Flower task, and we'll just have a detour that heavily favors Victor and Jocelyn. That's all. That's all of the bias we have room for in 90 minutes, because it's a planned 90-minute episode. And a podcasting note: I uploaded this podcast on a Monday. It is Monday today. Oh, it's Thanksgiving Monday in Canada. I had a nice Thanksgiving Sunday family dinner with my siblings and my nephews and nieces and my parents and my sister-in-law's parents. It was a lot of fun. So happy Thanksgiving to all 2 other Canadians who are watching this. So I'm uploading this podcast today. Lewis has already done 2 podcasts, believe it or not. Moving on. And Sarah Atwood has already recorded 5 episode recaps for this week with 5 different podcasts. And yet, there are still half a dozen out of the 27 podcasts that haven't recorded anything yet. What the fuck is your guys' excuse? Oh shit, I just got demonetized for that. So what's your excuse, guys? I'm keeping track of all of these podcasts, busting my ass, and I still gotta wait for your lazy asses to record on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Let's see. So let's go through the stats before we get to my boring ass recap. Elizabeth and Ileana are the 7th team to have a 12.0 team average out of 967 teams worldwide, along with Michael and Ruthie, Noah and Mayan, Asta Ladina, Max and Elias, rest in peace, Elias, Theodoro, Deborah and Steve, and Gina and Sylvia. It is the 3rd lowest average ever recorded. Other teams have recorded 12.5 and 13.0. You know who the 13.0 team is, Alexander and Sheridan. And yeah, and they are also, Elizabeth and Ileana are the first team in 89 seasons, now 91 seasons, because Amazing Race Australia 7 and TAR Finland are both started airing this week. Elizabeth and Ileana are the first team to finish with a 12.0 average after completing multiple legs. So all of the others who have a 12.0 average, they just did 1 leg. Elizabeth and Ileana completed 2 legs. No one's done that before. Elizabeth and Ileana are the first mother-daughter duo to end the season with a 12.0 average. They are the 4th all-female team to finish with a 12.0 average. It is the 2nd season in a row where the 2nd team eliminated had a racer in their 50s. Rex off of Rex and Ryan, then Elizabeth off of Elizabeth and Ileana. However, Elizabeth has much better genetics for somebody in their 50s compared to Rex Ryan. Okay, let's see. Alexander and Sheridan and Elizabeth and Ileana are the first 2 teams to be eliminated consecutively at a pit stop in the same Asian country since Zach and Rachel and Kurt and Brody were both eliminated in Indonesia in season 28. This also marks the fewest number of pit stop position changes after the first 2 legs of a season ever, at least in the American version, and presumably in all 89 seasons internationally, because this is just ridiculous. 10 out of 12 teams finished in the same spot in each of the first 2 legs. The previous record was held by Amazing Race 11 Real All-Stars, where 7 teams maintained their position. And after that, all other seasons in the American version, it's just 3 teams or less that preserve the same position. Liam and Jeremy are the first team to start out the season in consecutive 8th place finishes since Logan and London did in season 29. Andrea and Milena are the first team to finish in 10th place on the first 2 legs of the US season since Lulu and Lala did so in season 33. It was also accomplished by April and Sarah of season 30, CJ and Libby of season 26, Jody and Shannon of season 16, Kevin and Drew of season 11, Lisa and Joni of season 9. And the difference is, other than Lulu and Lala, all of those teams went home on their 2nd leg. So that's the big difference. Todd and Ashley are one of only 2 teams in season 35 are only one of two teams in all 35 seasons. I really need to make that clear in my notes. To finish in 5th place on each of the first 2 legs. The only other team to do it was Alex and Connor from season 30. Victor and Jocelyn joined Rob and Amber, Dave and Rachel, Jenny and Jelani, and Hung and Chi as the only teams to win the first 2 legs of a season. And let's see, Steve and Anna Lee are the first team to finish 6th place on the first 2 legs of the season, since James and Abba did so in season 21. So yeah, you're welcome for all of those stats. I want to see that in the comments. Comment down below saying, not you're welcome, but comment down below saying, thank you, Logan, thank you, TARstorian. I should kiss your feet. Please don't kiss my feet. I don't. Ugh, that's just gross. That's just gross. I'm not Tommy. What's that? Tommy? Not Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee. That's the guy who was with Pamela Anderson, right? Ugh. Ugh. Gross. Okay, let's go through this episode 2 recap. Previously, no, I'm just screwing with you. Teams went from Bangkok to a city slightly outside of Bangkok. There are 40,000 temples in Thailand. And we're going to fact check this right now. Let's fact check it. Because Phil Kogan occasionally gets these things wrong. Remember the whole Switzerland democracy gaffe? How many temples are in Thailand? And yeah, there are 40,000. There are 40,717 temples. 33,902 of them are currently in use. I'm sure I could have sworn it was 33,901. Okay, let's see. So we get the explanation that the Express Pass expires by the end of leg 4. Presumably it'll either be right before a mega leg or during a mega leg. We don't know. Oh, if it's a mega leg, then really be leg 5. I forgot there's going to be that stupid loophole. Pisses me off. The roadblock was who has a green thumb. Who has a green thumb? And that was the Lotus Flower task. In case you missed the Lotus Flower task, that means you missed the whole episode this week, because that covered about 45 minutes of the 90-minute episode, if not more. Let's see. Jocelyn, Victor and Jocelyn are constantly compared to Hung and Chi. Not only have they now won each of the first 2 legs, just like Hung and Chi did, and the single backpack, and being the oldest couple on the race, and also some sort of ethnic similarity that people have drawn to. But Jocelyn did a very similar roar to the roar that Hung did, not Chi. The man is not Hung. To the roar that Hung did during the Amazon leg of season 32. So the comparisons are just never ending. Steve says this is his and Annalie's last hurrah. Is he dying or something? A last hurrah? Come on, cheer up, man. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. You just have to plan it a bit differently from now on. Or make that effort. Last hurrah. Come on, man. Don't do that to yourself. Cheer up, Charlie. Willy Wonka reference. Let's see. Lena is afraid of crocs, whether it be in the water or on her feet. We see the Komodos in the water. We see a lot of catfish. And I believe the catfish that we saw was Trevor. That was the name of one of the catfish. And Lee was one of the catfish. And James, also he went by Ashley. That was one of the catfish. The circle reference. Joe and Ian have the tiniest compass I've ever seen. Can you even see the letters on that compass for northeast, west, and south? I couldn't tell. Jocelyn lost her shoe, and other people lost their shoes. As Austin Powers would say, seriously, who loses a shoe? Random task. Speaking of random tasks, that was we saw 15 attempts by Ashley at the roadblock, which is a lot for a random task. Do you know the guy who played Random Task in Austin Powers fought in the UFC in the early days and got sentenced to 900 years in prison? Unless he's Methuselah, he's not going to be alive when he finishes that prison sentence. Let's see. Oh yeah, I DM'd Ashley and said, "How long did the 15 attempts take you? Was it just a minute between attempts?" And she said, "No, it was a couple of hours." So if people are saying it was so damn linear that it was inevitable for everyone to finish in the same spot unless you forgot your fanny pack, let it be known that Ashley did take 2 hours at that roadblock and took a significant amount of time compared to other teams. Let's see. Oh, Garrett falling into the the lotus flower pond. Someone else also fell into the water in a hilarious way during the pomelo task. It's always funny to see people fall into water. Although the Nestea commercials from 15 years ago, they made it look so smooth and so cool to just fall back into a pool of water. Also, I guarantee you that lotus flower pond there, oh, I can guarantee you that smelled awful. It would have smelled awful. Again, because remember, I spent 5 months living in Thailand, so I know everything there is to know about Thailand compared to these teams who were there for what? 36 hours? Maybe 48 hours? 49? 50 hours? So I know a lot more than they do about Thailand. I didn't get to all 39,000 temples, though. I think I made it to about 60 or 70 temples solid. It was cool to see the coin slot in an elephant. If that were Vegas or Macau, that would totally be some sort of gambling slot machine. Just put the coin into the elephant, maybe pull on its tusk, and let the slots fly. I wish so. Everyone was saying, "Oh, 2 tasks for 90 minutes." That's really massaging the time there. That's really dragging things out. On one hand, that's very old school Amazing Race to only air 2 tasks and either maybe sometimes the side quest with the fast forward, or in this case, last week with the Express Pass. But in Amazing Race Canada, they don't really have any culturally diverse locations to visit, so that's why they do 4 or 5 tasks an episode because they don't have any. They have to stockpile as many tasks as they can to make it even remotely watchable for the average viewer. With Amazing Race Australia, they have a tendency to do 4 or 5 tasks, even with the early Michael McKay Channel 7 active TV seasons. And then whichever task had the least amount of changes or was the most irrelevant or least interesting, that task just goes unaired so they can show the good stuff. But here with season 35, they only plan 2 tasks. And if a task just isn't good TV, there's no way to really minimize the airtime yet. And I think if you don't like the Lotus Flower task or you didn't like this shopping versus pomelo detour, that's a long 90 minutes to sit through. You're easily going to be going on your PVR or other means that you use to watch it to skip ahead quickly. Let's see. It's the land of Phil calls Thailand the land of smiles. I can agree with that, especially with the happy ending at the end of the Thai massage task last week. I'm sure there were a lot of smiles, especially from Joel and Garrett. Phil loves Thai food, so I think I mentioned this last week because I like to make these recaps about me. But I ate pad Thai so many days in a row at the same eatery that Jian and I went to that the woman there started calling me pad Thai. They didn't even know my real name. They just said, "Oh, pad Thai." So to keep the joke up, I intentionally kept ordering pad Thai until I really, really wanted something different to eat. So I think I ate pad Thai about 23 or 24 days in a row in Thailand before I switched up my meal. And most times I was eating it twice a day. Let's see. People were thinking the pomelos were restocked so that enough teams could find pomelos. Given each team had to collect probably 100 pomelos or so, and up to 12 teams could have chosen that side of the detour, we're talking about 1,200 pomelos. And I hate to break it to you, but if you go to areas around Bangkok, you're not just going to see 1,200 pomelos just hovering in these narrow streams. That's just not going to happen. Production definitely had to restock. And if they didn't, then they certainly showed me. They proved me wrong. Let's see. I said Melina had a funny scream that made her sound like one of the characters from the Rugrats when she was in the lotus flower pond there. Of course, Joel's fanny pack was lost, and he wasn't even doing the roadblock. So yeah, they had to go back. That's the only reason why there was a position change. See, forgot his goddamn fanny pack. Rookie mistake, Joel. Yeah, and you can tell it's a rookie mistake because it's only the second leg. If this was like 4 or 5, everyone would be making fun of you that much more. Let's see. I have some other notes, but they're not that interesting. Oh, Robin. Robin says that she hates losing to Milena. Why specifically Milena do you hate losing to, Robin? Can you explain that for me? Why are you okay losing to Joe and Ian, or Elizabeth and Ileana, or Liam and Jeremy, or Morgan and Lena? But why specifically Milena? You're okay with losing to Andrea, but not Milena. I want to hear an explanation. And sadly, all of your social media accounts are set on private, so we'll never ever know the answer to this. For shame. For shame for respecting your privacy. And that's it. I didn't take any more notes because after that, it was just, oh, everyone's checking into the pit stop en masse. One major unaired note that Elizabeth and Ileana have shared in all of their exit interviews is their cab driver simply followed Andrea and Milena to the shopping detour that they didn't even want to do. I was surprised they couldn't recognize what a durian was, since durian is probably the most famous fruit in Southeast Asia. I'm surprised that production didn't include a task of making them eat or taste a durian, because if you book an Airbnb or hotel room in Southeast Asia, the first rule you'll see posted, and sometimes you'll see visual signs, is you cannot bring durian into the room. It smells that bad. And when I ate durian in Malaysia, I had to wear gloves to eat it. It was like I was in Amazing Race Asia. Okay, that's it. I have to teach in a minute, and I only wanted to record 20 minutes anyway, so more people would commit to watching this, as well as reading week 2 of the Recap Podcast Battle Royale, which will be up shortly. And that's it. That's all my notes for now. Peace out and just chill till the next episode.